Yo, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to break down for you another NFL mock draft because there was some breaking news this morning. The Minnesota Vikings and the Houston Texans engaged in a draft trade. So, the Minnesota Vikings are getting the Houston Texans number 23 pick. So, they have number 11 and number 23 now. Houston moves out of the first round and picks up some additional picks later in the draft and a second round pick next year. Don't forget, if you like my content, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It's a great free way to support the channel and help us grow here. All right, let's break down the 2024 NFL mock draft. Oh my gosh! As I was putting this video together for everyone, there was some breaking NFL news. Aaron Donald, the star defensive tackle for the Rams, just retired. 32 years old. Oh my gosh, man, Rams fans are probably weeping. And another slightly less, and by slightly I mean huge less move, the Eagles traded for Kenny Pickett to back up Jalen Hurts. But back to Aaron Donald. This leaves a huge hole in the middle of that defense for the Rams, so we have to make even more adjustments to this week's mock draft. All right, let's get into the draft. Okay, NFL fans, let's kick off my third mock draft of the NFL season. Not much has changed in the first couple picks. Caleb Williams goes number 1 to the Bears. Great news for Bears fans. They just traded for wide receiver Keenan Allen, who's going to come over from the Chargers opposite DJ Moore. This is great for Caleb Williams and other receivers on the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams needs weapons. They got him a weapon with Keenan Allen. He is 32 years old, but the dude is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and he has been for years. Okay, number 2. I'm still going with Jaden Daniels from LSU, guys. I think he fits perfectly in what Cliff Kingsbury wants to do with his offense. Drake May is more of a pocket passer, that pure kind of Justin Herbert, kind of Phillip Rivers type. And I think Jaden Daniels can kind of move around out of the pocket, create out of structure, and Kingsbury has worked with guys like Patrick Mahomes and Kyler Murray when he was with Arizona. So that's why I'm going with Jaden Daniels, number 2 to the Commanders. On the clock at number 3 is the New England Patriots. And I still think this is a great opportunity for the New England Patriots to trade back with a team like the Vikings, who just acquired that 23 pick, acquire some more players for a roster that needs a lot of help on offense and a little bit of help on defense. The Patriots are going to do this trade, I think. They're going to swap 11 and 3. They're going to get the 23rd pick of this draft and maybe like a third rounder next year. So we're going to force this trade. And now, on the clock is the Minnesota Vikings. And I think they go with a guy like Drake May. It depends who they really like out of all these quarterbacks. They could go crazy and go for a guy like J.J. McCarthy, but I think Drake May is the guy at number 3 for the Minnesota Vikings. And then we move on to number 4. It's got to be wide receiver. Kyler Murray needs help. They don't have a true number 1 receiver, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is a generational talent. He's one of the best receivers to come out in the draft in, I don't know, maybe a decade. And Neighbors is right behind him. This is one of the best wide receiver classes that we've seen in generations. And we're probably not going to see another draft class like this at wide receiver for many, many years to come. That's why the Cardinals are taking Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 4. Number 5 is where some changes start to happen in this mock draft. Jim Harbaugh, the new coach of the Chargers, has been clean in house. Mike Williams gone. Keenan Allen just got traded to the Bears. So this is a no-brainer at number 5. The Chargers are going to take Malik Neighbors, the best wide receiver left on the board. Number 6, we have the New York Giants. And the Giants could literally go anywhere. They could go quarterback. I don't think they're going to go wide receiver because Neighbors and Harrison are off the board. So I did some research on the New York Giants. A lot of people think this offensive line is really bad, but that's not really the case. They just brought in John Runyon and Jermaine Aldemuir. Aldemuir is 36 out of 81 ranked at tackle. Runyon 47 out of 79, and their other tackle, Andrew Thomas, 18 out of 81. So their offensive line is not too bad, and they're going to improve next year. So I was looking at this roster, and cornerback seems to be the weakest point of this team. Listen to this. So They have 3 corners that are all in the bottom 10% of ranked corners in the NFL. Not one of those corners is even in the top 100 of cornerback rankings on PFF. So I think this pick is Quinyon Mitchell, the quarterback out of Toledo. It just makes the most sense. This is a big position of need for the Giants. They could go offensive line, they could go quarterback, but this makes the most sense to me because cornerback is a huge weakness for the Giants, and that's why I love Quinyon Mitchell, the corner from Toledo, who has been amazing. He was great all year. He's really, really talented. I think he's the best corner in the draft, and that's why the Giants are taking Mitchell at number 6. All right, let's move on to number 7. The Titans need offensive line help. Will Levis got the shit pounded out of him last year, so you take the best offensive lineman available. You could either go with Joe Alt or you go with a guy like Fashanu from Penn State, but I think Joe Alt is the most complete, ready tackle to go for the Titans. I'm going Joe Alt. He makes the most sense to me. He's ready to play. You can put him in at either tackle position. He's an absolute monster. He's like 320 pounds, 6'8". He's an absolute stud. Okay, now we go on to the Atlanta Falcons, who did some big things in free agency, bringing in Kirk Cousins, wide receiver Mooney. Where am I going to go? I think the Falcons' biggest place of need is edge defender. So do we go with a guy like Latu or do we go with a guy like Jared Verse? I love Jared Verse in this spot. If you look at his stats, I mean, he's like the most consistent pass rusher in this draft. Over an 82 grade every single year since 2021. I mean, consistency. He's got a 90 pass rush grade. I think the Atlanta Falcons will be super happy if you bring in a guy like Jared Verse. That's why the Falcons are going edge defender in this draft. And now, number 9, the Chicago Bears are up again. Where do we go now? Since wide receiver DJ Moore, Keenan Allen just got brought in, so I'm thinking, let's go crazy. I was going to go Rome Odunze, but do we really need another wide receiver now? Let's give Caleb Williams the best weapon in the draft. We're going Brock Bowers to the Chicago Bears. Now this offense is humming, guys. We got DJ Moore. We got Keenan Allen. We got DeAndre Swift, the running back who signed with free agency, and now Brock Bowers. This offense is going to be a lot of fun to watch next year. That's why I'm going Brock Bowers at number 9 to the Chicago Bears. Up next at number 10 is the New York Jets. I think you got to go offensive line here. You got to protect Aaron Rodgers. It's between Fuaga and Fashanu from Penn State. I'm going to go with Fuaga because he's a little bit better of a run blocker than Fashanu. Fashanu might have a higher upside, but I think you go with a more polished player. A guy like Fuaga, 90 run blocker, 80 pass blocker, and in the NFL, you're going to get coached up to pass block. It's a passing league now, so these offensive line coaches are a lot better at coaching up guys to protect against the pass. That's why I like Fuaga to be the guy at number 10 for the New York Jets. And number 11, we have the New England Patriots. They trade it down. You can either go wide receiver like Rome Odunze, or you go offensive line like Fashanu from Penn State. I'm going back and forth, but Rome Odunze seems like the best pick here. So I'm going to go with the wide receiver who fell down the draft board a little bit. There's going to be more. There's a lot of depth at offensive line in this draft. So I think the Patriots can fill that hole on their offensive line at number 23. Rome Odunze is not making it much farther in the draft, so that's why the Patriots are going to add help at the wide receiver position. They bring in a guy like Odunze who's got a crazy catch radius. He catches everything around him. He does have a little bit of trouble getting separation, but I think he can work through that, get coached up, figure out how to get separation at the NFL level. But you can't teach that catch radius. You can't teach that tracking ability with the deep ball. I like Rome at number 11 for the New England Patriots. Then we move on to number 12, the Denver Broncos. I think the Denver Broncos are going to go quarterback here. And lucky for them, they can choose between Michael Penix Jr., who throws a really good deep ball, or a more polished, pristine, accurate passer in Bo Nix. And I think Sean Payton goes with the latter. I like Bo Nix for the Broncos in this spot. Bo Nix stats are just, they don't even make any sense. 93 grade this year, 92.7 passing grade, intermediate routes 94, deep ball 95. I mean, it's a pretty, Mickey Mouse offense at Oregon. They don't ask him to do a lot there. A lot of yards he got, from receivers after the catch. But adjusted completion percentage at 85%, you can't teach that kind of accuracy. Michael Penix Jr. might have a little bit more upside if he can kind of work on those intermediate routes. But I like Bo Nix, that accurate quarterback. I like him at number 12. They could definitely go with a guy like J.J. McCarthy, who's really young. I mean, he's only like 21 years old and just turning 21. Bo Nix is an older guy, a little more experienced guy who's 24. So if you want to go with that younger quarterback, 3 years younger, you go J.J. McCarthy. But I just think that Peyton's going to like the more accurate passer in Bo Nix. That's why he's going to the Broncos at number 12. And then we move on to number 13, the Raiders. The Raiders can go anywhere right now. Could they go with a guy like J.J. McCarthy? Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew are there at the quarterback position now. So is this more of a transition year and you pick a guy that is super talented, like a Cooper DeJean, the cornerback from Iowa? He's really, really good. Coverage grade 76.8. Really good against the run, 78.6. He's a great tackler. He's good at zone. He's a really solid player. And you can't go wrong with addressing the defense on this team and make this your staple right now, is really hammering in, bringing in all the talent you can for defense. I like Cooper DeJean, the 8th ranked guy on this big board PFF, to go at number 13 to the Raiders. Next up, we have number 14, the New Orleans Saints. And I think this pick makes perfect sense. They need some offensive line help. Bring in one of the best offensive tackles in the draft. I like bringing in Fashanu from Penn State to help protect Derek Carr. And he could be a tackle for you guys for the next 10, 15 years. Really solidify that offensive line. I like that pick for the New Orleans Saints. Drafting at number 15 is the Indianapolis Colts. And to me, it was between edge defender or offensive line. And to me, the most valuable guy on this team is Richardson. And Richardson needs to be protected. He got hurt last year. They need help at center and guard. So I'm taking Troy Fautanu from Washington, who a lot of people think he's better suited at the guard position. He's really good at pass blocking, guys. Almost an 89 grade at pass blocking. True pass set pass block grade, 77.6. He needs to be coached up a little bit with a run block grade, but if he goes from tackle into guard, that grade's already going to get better to up into the 70s, 100%. So I'm going with Troy Fautanu, the tackle from Washington. I think he's going to slide in and play guard for the Colts, help protect Anthony Richardson. Next up, number 16, we have the Seattle Seahawks. This is a no-brainer to me. They have a terrible, terrible situation at the center position for the Seahawks. So you draft the best center in college football, Jackson Power-Johnson. The dude's an absolute monster. Pass block grade 90, run block grade 85, zone 83. True pass set, pass block grade 87. For a center, you can't go wrong. He's an incredible talent. He'll be the center there for the next decade. Make that pick. On the clock at number 17 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence is in desperate need of some weapons. That's why they're going to bring in Adonai Mitchell from Texas, who has some of the best hands in college football. Another receiver on the roster, Christian Kirk, has more drops than he does touchdown receptions. And Adonai Mitchell only had one drop all last year in college football. He's incredible. He runs good routes. He's got some of the best hands. We're going with Adonai Mitchell, the wide receiver from Texas, with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 18, we have the Bengals on the clock. You gotta protect Joe Burrow. J.C. Latham, he's a good, solid tackle, Run block grade 79, pass block grade 81. He's a solid player. Protect Joe Burrow. You can put him anywhere. Tackle, guard. He can play anywhere virtually on that offensive line. I like JC to be the guy at number 18 for the Bengals. Next up, at number 19, we have the Los Angeles Rams, who just lost interior defensive lineman Aaron Donald to retirement. I know it feels weird even saying that. I was going to go edge defender Laiatu Latu because he's incredible, and I can't believe he slid this far. But now, you got to go interior defensive line, and Byron Murphy, the stud from Texas, is your pick. It's got to be him. You need to address that position now since Aaron Donald is retired at the young age of 32. Absolutely crazy. Next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock. The Steelers are another team that could go anywhere. They just traded Kenny Pickett to the Philadelphia Eagles for a third-round pick. So where do the Pittsburgh Steelers go in this draft? When looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers roster, I was looking at the tackles, and they ranked 62 and 63 out of 81, their right and left tackle. So I'm bringing in the best tackle left in the draft, who's still an absolute stud. This draft is stacked with first-round potential at the tackle position. I like the pass block grade 81 for Mims. Mims is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler at number 20. Then, number 21, the Miami Dolphins. Oh my God, where do the Dolphins go? Where do the Dolphins go? I think you go Drazarn Newton. They just need the best player available right now. They kind of blew up that defense a little bit. I like this pick. Newton at number 21 for the Dolphins. And then we go, the Philadelphia Eagles drafting at number 22. I'm still a firm believer that this team needs help in the defensive backfield. Bradbury's getting old. Slay's getting old. So I'm going with one of the best corners in football. Look at these grades. Coverage grade 84. He's 90 against the run. It's a no-brainer. If you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, you're going to love Terrion Arnold. He is incredible. And the fact that he fell in your lap at 22 and you don't have to move up in this draft, it is an absolute no-brainer. The Birds get Terrion Arnold, probably one, if not number two, corner in this draft. And then we move on to 23. The New England Patriots are now up after trading back, getting the number 11 pick and getting number 23. So if we look back to where they picked earlier, they brought in the wide receiver Rome Odunze. So what do? Do we address the defense? A guy like Nate Wiggins could be great. A guy like Dallas Turner, the edge defender. Or do we give them some offensive line help? I think we might want to go offensive line. This offense really struggled to protect the quarterback. They struggled to run the ball. So Graham Barton is the guy, the tackle from Duke. Don't even think about it. Graham Barton, the tackle to the New England Patriots. And now this offense is starting to be something you could shape a little bit. Jacoby Brissett could be the guy this year for a stopgap. They could go quarterback at 23 and draft a guy like Michael Penix Jr., but he might slide to that second round where there's some quarterbacks that, could be solid for the New England Patriots. Picking at number 24 is the Dallas Cowboys. I originally had Mims going there, but he got picked in this mock draft, so I'm going with another huge position of need. They need a center. Super bad. Zach Frazier, the second best center in this draft, is going to go to the Dallas Cowboys. Right now, currently, they don't even have a center on their roster. Some of those guards could potentially move to the center position, but draft a guy like Zach Frazier, and he could probably be a day one starter for you at the center position. All right, on the clock is the Green Bay Packers at 25. This is a no-brainer. If this guy falls to the Packers, they're going to dash and fill in that card, man. Nate Wiggins, the cornerback from Clemson, fell in this mock draft. The Packers are going to do a mad dash, turn in that card, make Nate Wiggins a Green Bay Packer. They brought in Xavier McKinney from the Giants to take over that safety position. That's huge. So now the secondary is looking pretty solid. And if you're a Packers fan, you got to be really, really excited about this upcoming season. And as an Eagles fan, I'm scared of the Packers, man. They are solid as they've been in years. And the Packers, they could be a potential team to come out of the NFC in the Super Bowl. It's going to be a great division with the Packers and the Lions. Should be a lot of fun to watch. Picking at number 26 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they really got to gear up because this Falcons team is looking pretty good. They brought back Baker Mayfield. They brought back Mike Evans. So where do we go from here? I think the guy to pick, edge defender, Dallas Turner, slid a little bit in the draft. You're getting great value for a guy who's an absolute monster. Pass rush grade 89. Woo, baby. If you're a Buccaneers fan, getting Dallas Turner at 26, awesome. And then 27, we have the Arizona Cardinals. What do we do here? I originally had Graham Barton going to them, but now he is off the board, so we're going to go with Tyler Guyton, the tackle from Oklahoma. You got to protect Kyler Murray in this draft. They got the stud wide receiver at number 4, bringing some offensive line help. Tyler Guyton can play tackle. He can play guard. He is as solid as they get in this draft. I like that pick for the Arizona Cardinals. Next up, the Buffalo Bills, man. Where do we go with Buffalo? I'm going Brian Thomas Jr. Gabe Davis is gone. You need some help for Josh Allen on the outside. Brian Thomas Jr. paired up with Stephon Diggs. That's a very formidable 1-2 punch at the wide receiver position. Picking at number 29, the Detroit Lions. I originally wanted Tyler Nubin, the safety, because they need safety help. Charles Gardner-Johnson is going back to Philly, but Laiatu Latu, he is one of the best edge defenders I've ever seen come out of college football. And can you imagine Aiden Hutchinson and Laiatu Latu on the edges coming after you? And everybody knows a corner and safety's best friend is a great pass rush. And Aiden Hutchinson and Latu on the edges could be the best 1-2 punch on the edges in the NFL. So I'm saying screw it. Latu is just too good to pass up. He's going to the Detroit Lions at 29. And then we have the Baltimore Ravens up at number 30. Where do you go here? I'm going Kool-Aid McKinstry. I'm not even thinking about it. They need corner help. Kool-Aid is a really, really good player. It's a no-brainer. Okay, now on the clock, the San Francisco 49ers. Oh, man. I was originally going to go offensive line here, but there's not a lot of value left at the offensive line position for the first round. So I'm going with the cornerback, TJ Tampa out of Iowa State. He's a solid player, a position of need for the San Francisco 49ers. And this is the pick I've been making time and time again. Number 32. The Chiefs are on the clock. Bring in this guy, and he might catch 60, 70, 80 balls this year from Patrick Mahomes. Ladd McConkey, dude. His hands are crazy. Go watch his combine. Watch his highlight reel from the regular season in college football. The dude is an absolute monster. And with Rashee Rice, we'll move him outside. Ladd will play the slot with Travis Kelce, and all of a sudden, Patrick Mahomes has got some weapons again, guys. So there it is, Ladd McConkey rounding out the first round with the Chiefs, the wide receiver, the slot receiver, going to pair up with Patrick Mahomes and Kelce and company. Woo, baby. All right, guys, let me know in the comments below. Do you like this draft a little bit better than my last one? I think this one is my best mock draft yet. Let me know in the comments below. The last video got almost 2,000 views in the first week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again. Peace.